Hello, everybody. I'm Marguerite Crespillo, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Real Estate 101. So, tonight we're going to talk about one of my all-time favorite topics called Get Rich in Your Niche. And we're going to go through and talk about some different ways to market and different ways to work on getting business. I know a lot of you are looking for new and adventurous ways to get new business right now. We're in a market that is rapidly changing day to day, and it is a hot market, which can be good and bad. It can cause its own set of challenges when you're trying to really figure out how to develop and build business. And if you're a new or newer agent, this is probably one of the best classes you can learn, because one thing that I learned early on in my career is the difference between sales and marketing. And the beauty of it is sales are when you actually sell something. You already have a client that you're working with and you're trying to develop and sell them a home or help them find a home that works for them. Marketing, however, is a completely different perspective. And when you actually look at yourself more like a marketer than as a salesperson, it means that your goal is to find all kinds of ways to attract people to want to come work with you. And one of my all-time favorite people that I have followed and have been very good friends with for many years is a man named Dean Jackson. And he has a podcast and a website. Podcast is called ilovemarketing.com. And ironically, it's not at all about real estate specifically. And that is one thing that I learned early on in my career, is to actually learn how to follow marketers that are not real estate specific. Because the crazy thing about real estate marketing is that the same agents are doing the same stuff for the last 50 years. They haven't really changed what they do or how to do it, right? If you ask an agent, how do they get business? The majority of them will say their database and their sphere. But if you ask them how they advertise and market, they don't do anything to their database. They do call expireds, call for sale by owners. They do the same old advertising that posts my picture that says, I'm here to help you buy, sell, anything that you want, right? So let's dig in. So on today's topics, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about how to really define your niche marketing. And I want to remind you that think of it from a marketer, not from sales. We're going to talk about how to get into the minds of your ideal clients, right? And we're going to talk about what can set you apart from most agents that, are what a lot of agents are doing that's really not working. And we want to really tell you what does work, right? So again, how to define that niche market of yours, how to get in the minds of your ideal clients, and number three, how to locate your ideal clients and get your message in front of them. That's really what we want, right? So what do most agents do? Now, I want to give you a little bit of background first. When I first got into real estate, I'm sure like most of you, I tried to figure out how to brand myself and what kind of marketing I could do with a limited to zero budget. Can any of you relate, right? Everyone said, do open houses and door knock. Well, I did a gazillion open houses, and I knew there also had to be something else I could do to get my phone to ring. Well, I started to see that I started to really follow many of the top agents to see what they were doing. And frankly, it seemed that they were all doing the same thing: home magazines, park benches, expensive branding. And then when I talked to them in person, many said it really didn't work and that they got most of their business from referrals. Well, the truth is, when it comes to marketing, most agents are literally flying by the seat of their pants and simply copying what other perceived successful agents are doing. They don't track anything, and they really have no way of knowing if it's working or not. Sound familiar? So if most of our business is coming from referrals, then how the heck do you get referrals when you're brand new, right? Or new or jumping back into the business? And why are so many literally spending thousands of dollars on branding themselves? Now, a huge mistake that I see 99% of agents making is not knowing that there's a big difference between marketing and selling. And when I started looking around at what people outside the real estate industry were doing, I came across great books by people like Dan Kennedy, Joe Polish, Dean Jackson, Marie Forleo, and many more that were what are called direct response marketing. Now, direct response marketing is a type of marketing that elicits a specific measured response resulting from a consumer's direct response to a marketer. Okay, so what does all that mean? Direct response marketing facilitates the delivery of a call to action and outcome via direct or online interaction for immediate feedback and response. Meaning, how many of you guys have potentially seen uh, a advertisement that actually looks like a news article, right? And it will say top 10 mistakes you must avoid when buying whatever it is. And you're interested, like you want to read that article, right? But if I post a big old picture of myself with my mug and hey, buy or sell a house through me, most of you are going to flip right past that. You're going to have zero interest in what I have to say. So really truly think about the difference again between branding and trying to keep up with everybody else out there and getting more really crystal clear and specific about who you want to target and how you want to target them. So let's talk about this and let's define who you really want to work with. Now, again, I want to differentiate this between sales and marketing because the rabbit hole that everybody goes down when I start to teach this class is I go, but Marguerite, I don't want to only sell condos. I want to sell luxury homes, or I want to sell country property, or I want to sell this. Keep in mind, marketing is very different than selling. What I'm telling you is that you can sell anything, right? But we really want to talk about what specifically you are marketing and who you're marketing to. Okay, so let's take this a little bit further. So we're going to create essentially an avatar for a marketing piece. Now stick with me because you guys are going to get a little lost. You're saying, what the heck are you talking about, Marguerite? What I want to know is who do you really want to work with? So I want you to think of a specific target of something that you want to sell. Now it could be first time home buyers. It could be move up buyers. It could be luxury buyers. It could be condo buyers or homes with pools, which we're going to talk about all those in a moment. But I want you to think about a specific target. So let's for a moment talk about a first time home buyer. And we're going to create an avatar, so to speak. We're going to design a person that would most likely be most interested in our product. Okay. And so what again does that actually mean? So this avatar, are they male or female? Now you're going to say, well, but I'll sell to anybody. I'll sell to a man or a woman, doesn't matter. Again, we're talking about a specific target here. So let's just pretend that our target market is a female. Let's talk about age range. Now this is important because what I'll tell you is that as I have grown in real estate over the years, my audience has changed. In other words, when I first started out and I had young kids, interestingly enough, most of my clients had young kids, right? As I've gotten older now, and most of my clients and friends are empty nesters, have grown kids, guess who I'm starting to attract? Empty nesters, right? So let's talk about our first time home buyer and their age range. We've determined that they're female. Let's pretend that the average age range of a first time home buyer could be anyone from, I don't know, 25 years old. We'll just say 25 to 35. So let's pretend that our avatar, we'll call her Sally, is 28 years old. Okay. So how much money, I'm going to ask you guys to post in the chat real quick here so I can see, because I want you guys to engage a little bit with this. We're talking about Sally, who's age 28. How much money do you think on average Sally might be making? What is her income? Type something in the chat real quick. $28 an hour, 75,000 a year. That's awesome. Okay. So let's say that at $28 an hour times 2,080 hours, Sally, according to Claudia, makes about 58,000 a year. Kiara put 75,000 a year. So we'll use Kiara's number for right now. And we'll say that they make 75,000 a year divided by 12 is about $6,200 a month. Okay. So what kind of job do you think somebody does that's making 75,000 a year? Are they employed or are they an entrepreneur? Right? Do they have a steady job or are they running a business? We'll pretend that they have a steady job. And where would you think somebody making that kind of money might work? Well, 75,000 a year. Maybe they have a state job, or they are a correctional officer, or they work for the county and they make 75,000 approximately a year. Would you say that our gal Sally is married or single? She's married. Okay. And we're going to say, is she have children yet or no? We'll say not yet. They're working on kids. Okay. So Sally is married. She makes $75,000 a year and she has no kids yet. They're talking about it. Let's talk about Sally's husband for a moment, or wife, whatever it is, doesn't matter. We'll say that Sally has a spouse, and in this situation, she's married to a man, and her husband's name is John. Okay. And we'll say that John is 30 years old, and we'll say that John is a correctional officer, and John makes, we'll say 90,000 a year. So between the two of them, they are making $165,000 a year. Do you think that John and Sally could afford to be buying a home? The answer is yes. So let's talk a little bit more about John and Sally. Again, you guys are going to wonder why I'm doing all this, but it does make sense in the end. So let's just say that what are their commonalities? So John and Sally are 30 and 28. And what kind of music do you think that they like? They probably like maybe some old school rap. They like maybe more modern. I don't know. What kind of music would you like, Kiera? You're a little younger than that, but what kind of music? Rock? All right. So they love maybe some old school rock, or they like some of the new stuff, right? Drums. There you go. And let's ask the next question. Do they share common spiritual views? We would think yes. Whether they are religious or not doesn't really matter, but maybe they have similar spiritual views. Okay. We'd like to know if they are fast action takers. So let me ask you this. If he's a correctional officer and she works for the state, do you think that they are quick thinkers, fast action takers? I would think probably not necessarily fast action takers. They seem to like steady as it goes, consistent jobs, right? I would venture to say that somebody that has those kind of jobs may or may not be, they might not be quick action takers. Maybe she might be more so than him. One of them might be, one not might not be. But typically people that are in W-2 types of jobs. Oh, there you go. My dad is a cop and he procrastinates. All right, good answer. Right? So they might not be fast action takers. I'm not saying they're not, but I would venture to say that in this case, these guys might not be. They might be thinking things through a little bit more. Do they have a sense of humor? Well, I certainly hope so with those types of jobs, but let's hope they have a sense of humor. What kind of food do they like? I would think maybe they like barbecue. Maybe they like sushi. Those might be typical foods they like. Mexican. There you go. Right. What kind of activities do you think they participate in? What kind of hobbies might they have, or what do they do when they're not at work? Bar hopping. I love it. Bike riders. They ride those ski bikes, right, Kira? Hiking. They probably bike riders, campers, right? They like to ski. Those kinds of things they participate in. And do they value your time and appreciate who you are and what you do? Well, we definitely hope that they do. Yes, they probably go to the gym, they have dogs. I'm guessing all those are things that are important, right? And we would hope that they're the type of people that would value our time. That's really the type of people we want to attract. So now let's ask a couple more questions. What are their biggest fears? Like, what do you think their biggest concerns are about potentially buying a home? Might be, can they afford it? Maybe they're hoping to get in a good neighborhood. He's a correctional officer, so I would imagine that they might be concerned about safety, especially considering they're probably going to be starting a family. Good answer, Kira. They might be concerned about schools. Maybe they don't really understand the value of real estate and how it works. Safe neighbors is a good one. They might be worried about their payment. Can they afford it, right? They're probably used to paying maybe for an apartment, and now their mortgage is going to jump up considerably, and they're a little nervous about that, right? Maybe they're in a lease that expires in the next couple months and they need to find a place to live. Maybe they're concerned about values increasing and not sure if they should buy now or not. These are all things that they start to think about. And what are maybe some of their deepest desires, aspirations that you could potentially help them with? Well, maybe they're looking to build retirement. As Kiera, I think, mentioned, they're looking to start a family. They want to find a place that's safe. They want a garage for their toys. They like that, right? These are all things that are really important to think about. Again, you're probably wondering, where am I going with this? So, what are some specific results that they want that they're currently not getting? Maybe they've been thinking about buying a home, but they don't know where to start. They don't know who to talk to or how to accomplish what it is they want to accomplish. They don't even know. They're going online and they're seeing millions and millions of ads and questions, and frankly they're overwhelmed and stressed out, right? Trying to figure out what to do, who to talk to, where to go. So these are all things to think about. Now, again, if you go kind of deep and dark, what is really important, what I'm telling you is I want you to really like think this through, because every bit of this is going to help you in their marketing. Like, what do they secretly fear might be true about their situation? Maybe they think they've got too much debt and they can't afford to buy right now. That garage they want for all their toys, well, all those toys are debt, right? That maybe they have. And what do you think they worry about? Maybe they're worrying about their jobs. Maybe they're worrying about, where they live. Again, with him being a correctional officer, he might be very concerned about certain neighborhoods and safety. Maybe he works nights and his wife works during the day. These are all things to think about, right? Kira's saying they do worry about self-image. They want to look better than the Joneses, right? And like, here's a good one. Claudia just said she has a client that we just went into contract, single female with 3 kids and 2 adult care family members. Landlord gave them an eviction notice until July 31st. Do you think those people are a little bit stressed out? I would say yes, right? So what do they not want to look at, maybe because it triggers too much fear? Maybe they are concerned, again, about if they were to go buy a home, or honestly, if they were to go talk to a lender, they might be embarrassed that the lender looks and sees how much debt they really have. And with them trying to keep up with the Joneses, they don't really want people to know. Maybe they screwed up when they were in their early 20s and jacked up their credit. They're embarrassed. They don't want people to know they have bad credit. Maybe they don't know how to get past those issues, right? And what's really worse than that? Maybe they had a bankruptcy 2 years ago and they don't know how to resolve those situations. And how would they feel, or how do they think others might react if they found out about that, right? Job security is another really good one. These are all really great responses to these questions. So now we can take it the other direction, right? Let's talk about the positives. What do they secretly wish was true about their situation? I would venture to think that they secretly think, oh my gosh, they run my credit. My credit's perfect. I just got a big raise at work. I can actually afford way more home than I thought I could. Right? They could maybe buy their dream home with a 3-car garage, right? Maybe it has a pool in it. And if it could happen perfectly, how would that story go? Right? And if you can solve this problem for them, how do you think that might look? Right? What would they think if you could help them really resolve this situation? So now that you've looked at all of these questions and you've created your very own avatar, does this sound like anyone you know? Right? Maybe what you've done is you've created an avatar that is very similar to who you are, right? And this is what happens many times. So maybe somebody, like Kiera, is younger and she's a single mom and she wants to be able to buy a house, right? So she might have created an avatar that looks very similar to herself. Claudia, you and your husband have been on your jobs. Well, you're both retired now, but they're both veterans, right? And there might be a lot of similarities into the avatars that you have created. Why is this important? Because again, as I said early on in this conversation, I said who you are changes over the years, which means your client changes over the years. So if we were to create a marketing piece around the avatar you created, what might that look like, right? And so these are some additional questions that I love. Like, are you crazy passionate about what you do? Do you love real estate, right? Does your ideal customer have really strong emotional needs or urgent problems? Well, I would venture to say that the client that Claudia talked about, they have an urgent need, right? Like they have until July 31st. They got to find a place to live. And are they motivated to find a solution and willing to pay for it? We want clients that are motivated to find someone who can help them. And then this is my favorite. Are they 6-star clients? Are they somebody who is ready, willing, and able? And do they know me, like me, and trust me? And last but not least, how can I get in front of them to show them how I can help them? That's the big one, right? That's what we want to figure out is how can we get in front of these people? So I encourage you when you're creating your avatar, and keep in mind, you guys, you can create more than one avatar, meaning from a marketing perspective, you want multiple avatars, right? We want to market to one, but you can create multiple marketing pieces. In other words, could you have 3 different ads that you're running? One could be targeted to first-time home buyers, one ad could be to luxury home buyers, and maybe one is to country buyers. But your ads are very different. Okay, so let's talk about a few different scenarios. Here are some perfect examples of things that I have done over the years, right? Country property and estates. This one is a true story. I created this this Facebook page. I really literally sat down and created the avatar of what somebody would look like that wants to create country property. I posted this ad, and a few days later, I got a call from an agent friend of mine in Woodland who said, Marguerite, I have a client. I saw you're doing country property specializing right now, and I'd love to refer them to you. She referred me that client. They were a $800,000 client who bought a house within about 30 days, generating me almost a $20,000 commission. That was because I did very specific ads to country property and estates, and I targeted very specific people when I was running that ad. Again, focus on an area. Lincoln, California homes for sale. Hot buys for a hot market. But let me tell you, this one right here was a cincher. Recently, my friend Ray did one called Homes with Pools. He simply created a Facebook page all about homes with pools, and all he did was post pictures and ads of homes with pools. You think that might be something popular right now, especially when it's 108 degrees this weekend, right? People might be very interested in finding a home with pools. So could you go through the MLS and find all different kinds of homes with pools that you could advertise and market? It would be pretty amazing, right? Now think about who your target market person might be in a home with pools. If you go look at the average sales price of those homes, you determine, again, what they could afford as far as a mortgage payment, then kind of backdoor it and start creating the typical person who might be interested in a home with pools. Might be a married couple again, more than likely somebody who's got kids, right? They want the kids to have a place to swim. What kind of work are they doing? What kind of income are they making? What does that person actually look like? Okay. So again, this is a success story I had. Actually, that buyer purchase ended up $16,000 commission. I was wrong. I got a call from an agent an hour away saying they saw I was a country property specialist. She had a client to refer. I literally had that ad up for a week. I want to say the commission was closer to $20,000, but might have been 16. Either way, was that worth it? Absolutely. So let's talk about some scenarios that you could be really specific on. You can choose a very specific neighborhood. For example, I live very close to Casa Verdera. Could I do advertising that targets people who want to live in Casa Verdera? Now I can already hear what you guys say, but Margarita, I'll sell them homes anywhere. Of course you will, but is somebody who's interested in Casa Verdera going to be a very different person or type of person than maybe a first-time home buyer? Maybe somebody who's interested in only homes on golf courses, senior citizens, people over 55, lakefront properties, right? So where can you get the listings? Now I will tell you 98% of the homes on my country property and estate pages are not my listings. I simply went through, looked at other agents' listings, and I would reach out to them to see if they would allow me to advertise their listings. Now I will tell you about half of the agents will say no, but another half will say yes. So you pull up 3 properties, you send out an email, or you give them a call and say, hey, do you mind if I advertise as long as I use your name and reference you and your brokerage on the ad? Many will say yes. There are certain brokerages that don't allow it. But literally, all of these different advertisements that I did were not my listings. Okay, so great way to do it. So let's talk about this. These are some examples of being very specific about what you want and what you need when you're marketing. So again, think about this. I built one of those pallet beds out under the treehouse on my property, and I wanted waterproof bedding. So I literally typed into Google waterproof bedding, and guess what? A website came up named exactly that, waterproof bedding, right? Here's another example of very specific targeted marketing. Fixmyq.com. I love this. I was literally driving down the road and saw this car. I had just had a situation where my barbecue broke and I had no idea who to call, how to fix my barbecue. Guess what I found? Fixmyq.com. I bet this guy gets a ton of business just from driving around with his car with fixmyq.com. Right? Now, can this guy fix things other than barbecues? Probably. I'm sure he can. But guess what? He gets a lot of business from people that are looking for someone just to fix their barbecue, right? This is another great one. This was brilliant marketing. Green Acres, if you don't know what Green Acres is, it's a nursery where they sell plants and stuff like that. Do you think people who are going in and out of that place need some sprinkler repair? So how brilliant is it of these guys, Sprinkler Medic, to put a van out front with their advertising on it right in front of Green Acres? That's what I'm talking about, people. Targeted marketing. Very, very specific marketing, just like that. This company, I have watched them grow from one goofy van that sat in front of Green Acres to now they have a whole fleet of vans and a huge business because they focused on a very specific niche. Okay. So think about this. Which one would you rather pick? This ad on the right, which talks about waterfront property. I can help first-time home buyers, investor properties, luxury homes, gated communities. Do you get lost in this ad? I think you do. What if you looked over here and you saw this? Special grant program for first-time home buyers helps you buy with no money down. Free educational class on how to buy the home of your dreams, no obligation. Do you think that our first-time home buyers, Bob and Sally, which ad do you think they are going to respond to? What do you guys think? Which ad would you respond to? The yellow one, right? There you go. Okay. So absolutely think about this. Which one is more specific and is targeting a very specific niche? Now, this one on the left, the yellow one, doesn't have pretty pictures of houses and all that kind of stuff, but still, more than likely, they are going to respond to that specific ad, right? So let's talk about one last thing here. Headline is the key. I love, love, love this. You guys can write this domain down, because think back for a moment and look at this, and what things are important in this ad are what are called emotional words. And emotional words trigger something in somebody that makes them want to look at it and or buy. Think about those trashy magazines, Star Magazine, things like that, right? And what is the most important part of that are the headlines. And what headlines grab your attention? So for example, you guys can take this right here and you can take this domain name and you can start to type in headlines, okay? And it will give you a score. All right, so the cool thing about this is that you can put in very specific headlines, right? And with that, you get a score. So we can put, let's see, fatal secrets to avoid when buying a home. Let's see what it says. It gave us an emotional value score of 25%. So let's change it up a little bit. Mistakes to avoid when buying a home. That gave us a lower one, right? So let's see, mistakes to avoid when, let's try selling your home. See what it says. 14%, right? So now you can start to see which ones work. Mistakes to avoid. Ooh, Ooh, that one went up to 25%, right? So you guys can play with this a bit and look and see which ones, right? You can look down here on the analyzer method. This is pretty cool. And it'll give emotional words, empathetic, right? Let's see what it says when secrets to find your dream home. Let's see what that one says. Holy schmoly, that one went all the way up to 50%, right? So let's see. Let's try it a different way. Mistakes to avoid when looking for your dream home. So we already figured out the other one was better, right? So this also will tell you that this has determined your headline appeals equally to people's spiritual and intellectual spheres. So we can go back and start to look at different words that can target somebody specific, right? Oh, it didn't even give me one. Hold on. Need more words, I guess. Minimum of 4. Selling your dream home. So see how it took us up to 25%? It gives you some additional information here. So it even gives you some different language and what's important and what's not important. So yes, the question is, we want it closer to 100, right? So let's see if it gives us any examples. I used to have some examples, but I don't have many right now. Strong and positive. So you can see you want things that are strong and positive. Find an expert to help you find your dream home. Let's see what it says. That was a little better, right? But you can keep playing around with these. And what I would love is to see you guys test several and post them in our Facebook group, right? You can put them in the Facebook group and we can all kind of mess around with them and see what we get. So pretty cool. I mean, I love that thing. I haven't played with it in a while, but it's super, super fun. All right. So again, the key here is keeping in mind that you want to be able to play around with different headlines, and then you guys test them, like test. Run ads, do things on Craigslist, run ads on Facebook. Here's the thing to keep in mind. If you run an ad and you get no response, it's the ad. Okay, which means you need to tweak it and change it. That's why I love about new technology. In the old days, we used to have to print them out, put them in a magazine, and you could only change them every 45 to 60 days. Now you guys could literally change an ad within hours, right? And so things to keep in mind is it's really important that you make sure that you are changing up your ads. So if you run an ad, you get no calls, it's the ad. If you run an ad and you get lots of calls and it's not the type of client you want, then you need to change the ad. If you run an ad, you get calls, you get clients that you like, but you're not getting appointments or you're not getting contracts signed, then the problem is you, and we need to work on your skill training, right? But the beauty is numbers don't lie to you. And so here's really the bottom line. The huge mistakes I see in most agents is you're wasting a ton of money, time, and effort trying to advertise everything so you don't miss anything. And ultimately, you're missing everything, right? And so you could literally run 5 different ads targeted to 5 different types of people and see what works. That's how I have found what has worked for me over the years and the type of clients I want. So for example, too, if you're running ads that say bankruptcy, bad credit, all that kind of stuff, what type of people are you going to attract? Guess what? You don't want to run ads like that, right? But now there are some people who do. My brother, for example, went to San Diego and specialized in short sales. So all he did was run ads to attract attorneys who were dealing with short sales to get clients. He did $25 million in real estate his second year down there. So tons of opportunity and so much potential to do this. So there you guys go. You can also join our private Facebook group, Real Estate Success Strategies and Accountability. And in fact, on my podcast, Real Estate Real World, I actually did an interview with Dean Jackson. That's one of my all-time favorite interviews. So you guys, you could go watch that on your Apple iPod podcast, anything like that, or Podbean. You can go check that out and download them. They're still live and still up on the podcast. So go check those out, listen to those podcasts, and I would love to get your feedback and opinion. Thanks so much, you guys. Any quick questions before we wrap up? All right. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye now.